Halito, everybody, welcome back. This is CT over the Native Reality, and we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. So it was the second part of Decision Day. I've been a little bit discouraged about how they've been dragging out this season, but I don't mind some of the post marital stuff. I don't mind that too much. I mean, just don't go too far. So this is going to be brought to you from a mixed urban Native American perspective and a secular perspective. So let's keep all that in mind as we dive right on in, because this is marriage, but not marriage necessarily from a dogmatic perspective. So did you guys watch the episode? I thought it was a little unnecessary to have us, with this cliffhanger with Shaquille, and we got to wait the whole week just to find out if the guy's going to say yes or not. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so they're there with Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal, Kirsten, and Shaquille. So Kirsten has already said yes, and Shaquille, dun dun dun, wait for it, decides not to stay married. Now, I was not sure if this was going to happen or not on his part. I mean, part of my early predictions was that they were not going to stay together, but I didn't know that, if Shaquille would say no or not. I mean, if we look back at how much he was complaining and belly aching, oh, you're not this, you're not that, and he's in his head every 15 seconds, I guess, it's not a big surprise, but I don't know. I thought maybe she would have said no versus him. But either way, yeah. Now, her reaction was like, oh, okay, if you want to, if that's how you want to play it. So she didn't seem devastated, but she did seem surprised. So I said, well, listen, it was doomed for failure. I felt as though initially, even once she'd start to develop some attraction for him, I think just ultimately he wasn't what she wanted. And I think that as well for him, he wants someone who's going to constantly be doting and reassuring and reaffirming and stuff like that. He is exhausting. I'm sorry, he's exhausting. He's a cup that can never get filled up. I just, that's too much for me. So anyway, so he told her, basically you didn't open up, and by the time you finally let me meet your parents and stuff, or, meet your dad, it was kind of a little bit late for that. And, I wanted someone who was going to do X, Y, and Z, all this stuff. He had this whole, thing about feeling like she just wouldn't let her walls down. And, she didn't completely open up. That's true. But I think in the case with Shaquille is that, even if she would have come in a complete open book, I think he still would have felt, she's not giving me enough. I think he needs a lot. And there's a reason that people are on this show why they can't, especially, for women, I understand more, right? Because it's harder to find guys that are marriage minded and, want to start a family. It's much more frustrating, I think, for women in the dating scene. But Shaquille, it was like, well, he's like, if he epitomizes all these things that, Southern Christian women want, then why is he not married by now, right? He's educated, he's independent, he's employed gainfully, he serves his community with the mentorship, he goes to church, all the things that, a lot of women from the South, from that particular demographic say that they want. He has, but why is he not married? So, he has no children, no baby's mamas popping up anywhere. So, I think that's what it is. I think Shaquille's probably just very draining in relationships, but I'm still going to hold true to what I said from the very beginning. I feel as though, I think he still has some self-discovery to do. All right, and we'll just leave it at that. So anyway, Kirsten, she's like, well, you know what? If that's how you feel about it, let's part ways. So Kirsten was done, and it wasn't some, big emotional thing or whatever. And then she gets over to the camera, and she's like, what are you crying for? Like, please, he's over there crying, got the nerve to be over there crying. Like, come on, what for? I'm the one that should be crying. You rejected me on national television. So, it was doomed for failure. But you know what? I'm going to give them credit for at least trying and going through the process. And, you definitely can learn something about yourself and learn about, more about like what you want or your expectations, what you're compatible with in relationships when you go through something like this. It's unfortunate it didn't work out, but it was never going to work out. I just didn't think so. So basically, so my prediction, let me see, which ones was I right about? I was right about Nicole and Chris. I was right about Mac and Dominique. No, or was I not sure? You know what? No, because I think yeah, I wasn't sure, but yeah, no. My prediction from the beginning, even like initially, wait a minute. Now I can't remember. You guys got me thinking now. I don't remember what my prediction was with Mac or, oh my God, see, I'm saying Mac and Gina now. Because see, we're going to get to that part. Don't rush me. I'm getting there. Hold on. So anyway, with Mac and with McKinley and Dominique, I don't remember. I'd have to go back to the other video. But anyway, I was right about Shaquille and Kirsten. I didn't feel they were going to work out. And I mean, Eris and Jasmine, anybody could have seen that, right? So, and Gina and Clint, I was right about them. So, yeah, I mean, this was and listen, I mean, to get so many of them right, I mean, I'm no love expert. I mean, I've been watching the show since its conception, but to be able to, like, get all those predictions, and those were predictions from the very first, like, on eye contact. That wasn't even, like, a week in after they were getting to know each other, post-honeymoon. These are my predictions just, like, from my heart. From the very beginning, just chemistry, you know, the eye contact and everything from when they met at the altar. So if I can get that right, then that means that they definitely matched these couples so poorly. So next season is going to be in Denver, and is that going to start in the summer, or I don't remember. If you guys know, you can leave it in the chat, but I'm like, oh my God, here we go. So Denver, we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. Jasmine and Eris, they're in the kitchen. She's finishing packing up stuff. They're talking about, you know, basically how it didn't work out, and, you know, how they've learned all these things. And, oh, she wouldn't be the woman she is today, you know, if it hadn't been for this experience. I'm like, listen, Jasmine, you're giving him way too much credit, because she feels as though that she stands up for herself now. I feel as though she has gotten her feet wet in the standing up for myself department, but she's not quite all the way there, because she's giving Eris way too much credit, especially for making her look stupid on television. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, he didn't mislead her. All right, that's true. But, you know, just the way that he was talking, it seemed like he was just always like obsessed with sex, and just like, you know, so obsessed with looks. And now, I did watch the after show last night, and I don't always watch that. And I found it interesting that that Eris, when he was being interviewed by the host, he mentioned that he did have a conversation with her, because the host asked him, like, you know, what were the things that you weren't attracted to about her. And, you know, she kind of pressed him on that. And he was like, well, you know, we did have the conversation, and I did let her know what it was. And she's like, well, what was it? And he wouldn't say. And thank God he didn't say, because, you know, we would have sliced him like a Ginsu knife, honey, if he would have been like, oh, I didn't like her, you know, and gone down the list. So I feel as though, you know, and she said that early on in the relationship. She woke him up one night in the middle of the night and said to him, Eris, what is it? Why don't we have any sexual chemistry? And it's like, oh, so, you know, she pressed him on that, or Jasmine pressed Eris on that, and Eris, you know, gave her a response. So it's like, so you knew that early on that he didn't like all these things about you, and you were still trying, like, and I'm sure, because see, the reason that I know what he told her his reasons were all about physical attributes. I know it was physical. It had to have been, because had it been, oh, you know, we don't have sexual chemistry because, you know, you clean up the house too often, or you're too organized, or, you know, you're too punctual. If it was something like some kind of personality thing, he would have said that. So he definitely told her what it is that he thought, like, you know, we all know he probably just went down the list of different things that he wasn't physically attracted to about her. So I thought to myself, you know what, Jasmine, you should have thrown in the towel much earlier than that. Because I mean, what can you change? You know what I'm saying? Because if it was something physical that oh, oh my God, I just realized something. Oh my God, I just realized something. Okay, so you all, if you didn't see it, I have a video going back a few videos ago about Jasmine. She got a makeover. She got a new smile. I'm wondering, because somebody took that picture and they put it up on Reddit, right? And because whoever the person was, they ran into her at an amusement park. I think it was Universal Studios, if I'm not mistaken, in California. And she was with Nicole in the picture. And, she had a brand new smile. And maybe, just maybe, because I was thinking at that time, because this picture came out a couple of months ago. And I was like, oh, she got a new smile. Like, is she with somebody new? Is she with Eris? Because the girl who took the picture asked her, where's everybody else? And because the season was still being aired, they couldn't reveal whether they were, said yes or no at that point. So she said that Nicole and Jasmine were like, oh, the other cast members, they're just all around different parts of the amusement park. So it was like, okay, so we didn't know at that time if her and Eris were still together or not. And I thought to myself, okay, is she with somebody new? Like, she got a brand new smile so fast, like the show had just finished filming at that time. I'm like, so what's going on here? But maybe Eris said something to her about her looks, because I think he did. And maybe that's why she got her smile, she got a new smile so soon. So, I mean, my husband's over there nodding his head. I mean, it just hit me. Just like right now as I'm sitting here thinking about it, just like, because I don't know the exact timeline, but I know that when that picture was taken, the show was still being aired. And her and Eris, now we know that they said no on decision day, that they were not still together. So I wonder if she did that. I wonder if she got her teeth fixed because of him. Oh my God, I hope not. I hope not. But anyway, listen, everybody can use a nice smile. I mean, whatever, right? That's, do it for yourself. Don't do it for him. See, she gives him too much credit. But anyway, I'm just, I'm thinking out loud here. I don't know this for sure. But, oh man, I hope her self-esteem has not been affected by this. But we see them on the, like some little previews for next week where they're going to be going out on dates and stuff. And, I don't mind an episode or two about that. I just don't need my decision day dragged out into 2 episodes. I don't need to see, what's his name, that host, Kevin, what's his name, with all these like podcasters all hanging out on a panel talking about who should be with, to me, that's irrelevant. I don't need episodes like that. You can hurry up. And this right here officially is, I think, let me take a look here. I think, isn't this the 21st? I think this is episode 21, if I'm not mistaken. Can you believe we've been hanging in there for 21 episodes with these people? This is a lot. I mean, that's a lot for couples who just don't have the chemistry. So, all right, moving on. So, yeah, so Eris is saying, like, how, it didn't work out. And, I was just getting used to it. I mean, I was getting used to the apartment and, just used to, like, just kind of, like, being in this life and, like, the neighbors and people down the hallway. Never anything about her. He just never liked her from the beginning. And that was very, very clear. And, and then he says he wants to visit Duchess. And I'm like, listen, let me tell you something. This is where I say that the ink has not dried on her, I found myself, I'm going to stand up for myself document, okay? It's not quite there yet. That takes time, right? All that self-improvement stuff, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. But the fact that he said that he wants to visit the dog and he treated you like a dog, and then you're going to let him come over and visit you, for what? For why? Right? I mean, especially if you're going to be out there dating, listen, her DMs are going to be full. She is like, her body is incredible. Okay. She's a beautiful woman, beautiful smile. You know, I mean, she has all these things going for her. She's educated. She's so mild mannered, and she's so this, and she's got so many things going for her. So now the DMs are going to be like stacked up to the roof. Why are you going to let this clown come over to your house? And like, even, why would you even let your neighbors see him visiting you? Like, he humiliated you. I think that's really, I see that. So that's what I'm saying. She should not, if she was like, so like, you know, I'm standing up for myself, then part of that would be, you know what, let the door hit you, see you, you know what, it was good, it was good getting to know you, see you later kind of thing, right? So I think, you know, coming into that sense of standing up for oneself, I think that's going to take a little bit more time, but she's moving in the right direction. At least she knew that she was worth more than what Eris was, and I'm glad that she said no. I'm so glad she did. Now Eris, now we see his old dusty self over at his friend, was that his friend or his brother? I don't know who he was with, hanging out with somebody, and his wife. And his wife was gorgeous, right? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to introduce you to my friends. Oh yeah, they're waiting. They just can't wait to meet you, and blah, blah, blah. And Eris is so like, you know, it's kind of like Jasmine's mom, or no, was that her aunt? I think that's her aunt. Had said to Jasmine, you know, after Jasmine had moved out, and she's talking to Jasmine about, you know, how she was feeling about the divorce and everything, or the decision, because they still have to go through the divorce process. She was like, well, you know, it's not that he didn't, what did she say? That he didn't want it, because the aunt was like, he just didn't want to be married. Was that a facade, the way he would, because he seemed so happy when he was around us, like he was really into you, you know, was that a facade? You know, he's just not ready to be married. And, you know, or no, he doesn't want to be married. And Jasmine's like, no, he wants to be married, but he's not ready to be married. And we see that lack of readiness when he's talking to this person's wife. You know, how you just can't wait. Oh, yeah. You know, I think he just, because it felt like he was just trying to be really cool and calm, like, because he was attracted to that woman that he was talking to, but he, you know, that's someone's wife, so he knows she's not available. But I think he was looking for somebody who looked a little bit more like her. I think that's what it was. And he's thinking, and he was like, oh, I hope they're exciting. I hope your friends are this. I hope your friends are that. And I'm like, oh, hold on one second, guys. I forgot to charge up my battery. So I'm thinking the way that he seems so excited to meet her friends, that tells me that, you know, he's probably thinking, you know, birds of a feather. Her friends are probably really pretty. Her friends probably look a little bit like her, you know, and, you know, that's more in line with like what his usual type is. So, you know, he says, you know, like he's still ready for a relationship. She's got to be with the right person and everything like that. I just think Eris has got like air between his ears. He just seems like, I know he's got a good job, so I mean he's intelligent in some sense, but you know, emotionally he is just so, oh, I just can't stand him. I just can't stand what he did to her. And I mean, and if you are that kind of person, why would you go on this show? If you want a Lauren London, which you could kind of say that friend's wife or cousin's wife, whatever she was sort of in that tribe of like phenotype. If you wanted someone who looked like that, then why were you not either more like emphatic during the selection process, or, you know, when you were doing your questionnaire? I want somebody who really, really looks like this, you know, or, you know, if you're just that picky, then I just don't understand why you would go into an experiment like this. This was never made for someone like him. I think even if they gave him Beyonce, you know, her little cousin or something that looks like her, you know, he'd still find something wrong, because, you know, even if he found her attractive, he is like the guy was saying, you know, the usual Eris is the one who runs from commitment. Once things start getting serious, he heads out the door. So that's his pattern. He's not ready for marriage. I don't know if he will ever be. Maybe at some point, but he is so far away from that. He's just, I can't stand him. Anyway, moving on. I don't want to talk about him anymore because he's getting me upset. So, all right. So, Kirsten, all right. Now, Shaquille is at the house or at the apartment, and he's on the phone with somebody. I don't know who he was or whatever. And, he's talking about how she left and, she left without saying goodbye. Listen, Kirsten was like, you want me out? I'm out. And we all know Kirsten lives out of her pocketbook, okay? Because I don't know where her furniture, where her stuff was. Remember that little, it looked like one of the rentals that she knew was about to go on the market or something. It's about to be rented next week from her, her MLS listing as a real estate agent when they showed us her apartment in the beginning of the experiment. So, she knows how to move in and out. So she was out of there. And I was like, good for you, Kirsten. Good for you. Like, she's like, you're not going to make a fool of me. And he's on the phone. But, here's the thing is that he was so delusional. He's having this conversation with this guy. And he was saying, well, maybe, it was what I needed in that moment. That's what I was feeling in that moment. I had to make that decision for the moment. And I don't know that, I won't revisit this. And, maybe it's just not our time right now, but maybe a little bit later. And I'm like, you are delusional. Kirsten, listen, I think Kirsten is probably, honestly, I think she doesn't like to be rejected. I feel that there's some embarrassment in the rejection, but I do feel like she's honestly relieved. He's not her type, right? I feel like she is honestly a little bit relieved that he said no, and now she doesn't have to look like the bad guy, and she can go on and find her, I don't know, whomever she's attracted to, Michael B. Jordan or something. I don't know what her type is. So, but yeah, she left, and he was in the apartment to clean up by himself. So now we have Mac. Now Mac is with his best friend, the one whose basement the one whose parents' basement he was renting out, or actually he wasn't even renting, he was just staying in, that Dominique was so upset about. Those two go and look for a house. So he is officially ready to settle down and to become a Tennessee resident. And he goes through Kirsten, because Kirsten is the real estate agent. So they look at a place, and the place looked really nice. And it did seem a little bit big, though. But his friend is like trying to help him be optimistic. But, you can get married and have someone living here with you. But I think in that case, it's better for him to, I don't know if this was like a production thing, like where he was trying to do it for production to make it seem like, look at this big house. I can totally afford this house because, Dominique's making it seem like I'm broke or something like that. I think that was a little bit showy, because why would he look at something that's so huge and everything like that? Well, then again, Kirsten is his realtor, right? And we know Kirsten likes to go for the big money, the big money properties. So I think that if he wants to buy something, buy a starter home, right? So that when you meet someone, you guys can get that dream home together. Sometimes people don't want to move into someone's home where you've already brought your dates to and stuff like that, right? Just get something simple and, keep it moving. So anyway, but I think that was more of a flex. He wants to show us, I ain't broke. Broke where? Broke what? Cannabis. Who? Anyway. So it's so funny. Kirsten didn't even seem fazed. She did not seem fazed. I really think she's relieved. So moving on to Nicole and Chris. So Nicole and Chris, she has moved in with him until his lease is done. So he's got the bigger apartment or whatever, and they brought all the dogs together. Now his lease has officially ended. As of last night, it officially ended, and they signed their new lease together. So they will be moving in. So no more delaying, because remember, he wanted to, keep his lease for like another 9 months, after they've already been married. And that's kind of good because, if things are working out and you love each other, I don't understand why you would want to go backwards. And that's going to send her into a tailspin, right? She would be going nuts. So I noticed that there was a much calmer Nicole last night. Much calmer. And I think a lot of her anxieties about him ultimately leaving her and her being too much, I think those were kind of, I think she felt a little bit more secure in their relationship. And the gesture was, them moving in together, which is the natural progression in a relationship. I mean, so they seem to be doing okay. Now, will they last the long run? There were moments during the season that I thought they might not, but ultimately I think they are going to be one of those couples on Married at First Sight in 5-6 years that are, they got the baby and they're showing what it was like, what the successful couples. I think they will be. I mean, I think he's going to get used to her, ups and downs and stuff like that. I think they'll get used to each other. But yeah, I was questioning there for a little while, but it seems like this is the calmest we've seen Nicole, right? And I think maybe once she has some security, maybe she can take more time to work on those issues that she realized that she still does have. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to them. So they were the only success story in this season. So now, it's been 4 days after they have had their, they've made their decisions. So all the couples meet up and, they want to get an update because apparently they don't know what's going on with each other. They don't know who said what. I don't believe that's true because, I mean, they're all friends. They got each other's text messages and stuff. You can imagine them 4 days not telling each other, I don't believe that. But anyway, they had to make it look good for the camera. So it was interesting as everybody walks in and stuff like that. So Mac and Gina, they give a hug, and when they hug, when the camera, you can only see the back of Mac's head, so you see the front of Gina's face, and she's hugging him, and she's like, we see that mouth. We have not seen that mouth, honey, in a couple of months, and Gina's back to her old self. So Gina's happy. She's feeling good, right? Because she likes this man, all right, apparently. And yeah, I guess they've been, looking at each other the whole time. I don't know. But, that light that we saw with Gina, she could never close her mouth. Now she's back to open mouth Gina, right? Because she's feeling free and released from, the weight of Clint. She doesn't want to be with him anymore. So you know what? Go get it. Go get whatever it is that you want out of life. All right. So then Kirsten, Shaquille goes up to Kirsten, and Kirsten does like this. So this is Shaquille right here. This is my lipstick of Shaquille. So she does like this. She doesn't even look him in the face. She just goes like this. She goes around. She's like total. I mean, that was like an obligatory. I'm surprised he even got that. It was like the little church hug, like there was no like her moving in front of him. So they're in front of one another. It was just like two people side by side and doing like that. It was so, from her body language, it was just like, Shaquille, you're toast. Your ass is grass. There is no way she's going to get back with you. It's not happening. And, maybe somewhere in her real estate market, she'll find somebody. They were so poorly matched. I mean, my God. Maybe she'll meet somebody who can, afford to buy her that house. That's another thing too. Like, I think one thing from the experiment you learn about, like, your goals, and now you're in a position where you can kind of figure out, like, or not figure out, but where you're kind of forced to figure out, like, what's the next step. Okay, housing, then family, right? Or work, commute, and all that stuff. So they were in the midst of that. And I remember her saying, Kirsten was saying, earlier in another scene, like, man, I just need to meet somebody like right away. She just wants to replace Shaquille. She wants that marriage. She wants that routine. She got used to that. Shaquille, he said, I think was it on the after party, that he misses like having someone that's always in the bed. Every time he would come home, she was always home, and just having someone there. I think he's regretting his decision. He realized he fucked up, but I think it was still better at the end of the day. I mean, I think he feels like he fucked up, but really, I think that was the right decision to have been made anyway. I think it was better. Who cares who said, yes or no? They just still should not have been together from the very, very beginning. And he needs to work on figuring out who he is. I don't think Shaquille really knows who he is. I think he feels very constricted by this culture, that he's in, and that he has to be a certain way. He can only date a certain way. And I think he needs to date who he really wants to date. Okay. So anyway, moving on. So yeah, Dominique, when we get to the last scene, Dominique decides that she wants to leave early. And I think she got uncomfortable about, some of the questions that were being asked and stuff. And then after she leaves, Nicole asked Gina and Mac about them dating. And, she made it seem like it was just this novel idea, but Eris is like, yeah, we've been hearing stuff, So apparently before this little gathering, these two have been talking. And remember the way Mac had said to Eris a few weeks ago that, he slid into Gina's DMs and, he was talking to her and everything like that. And Gina was like, well, to be perfectly honest, I did find him attractive. I found you attractive, when we were all at the airport or someplace, some hotel or something like that, resort. She was like, yeah. So imagine like you're not getting along with your spouse. You're not attracted to them whatsoever. And then you got somebody that you find is like a hottie McBody over here. And then you can't even, you can't do anything. So, I mean, some people would have an issue with people dating in that particular situation. But, I mean, it's an experiment. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Gina would be able to make time for McKinley. But who knows? Maybe it could work out. Are you guys interested in seeing that? I'm interested at least on some follow-up to see if they wind up like, taking it from dating to being in a relationship. And, we had like the major car crash disaster that was Bao and Zach was that last season? Or the season before last? I can't remember. And, he was out here cheating with anything and everything that was moving in the streets. So, it was a disaster. Now, with McKinley and Gina, if they worked out, because they definitely have chemistry, if they worked out, do you think that they would get married right away? I mean, do people need a break after this? Or, I would think you would need a break. But, kind of like Kirsten says, I just want somebody right now. Because they're used to the process. They didn't like the partner, but they liked the process. So, I don't know. If that's where they find their happiness at, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I'm okay with it. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens now. But the thing is that if you're going to do that, you can't go about it in a foul way where you guys have all bonded and been friends, and then the whole time you've been talking to your buddy's spouse, without them knowing. If your buddy and his spouse are not having chemistry, you may feel a little less, guilty about it, but it's still, you still want to just wait till like all the ink is dried and then be like, okay, well, maybe why don't we try this? You know what I mean? Because it can, it feels like backstabbing if, Clint doesn't know all this is going on. But let's find out next week what Clint knows what's going on or not going on. Let's find out what's going on with Dominique. So, this is at least getting closer to like the spoiler episodes that we saw, several months ago. My God, they just dragged this out. So, these dating shows, they're really getting hot because, 90 Day Fiance has all these different 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way, Love in Paradise, Happily Ever After, all these different little franchises. We got Love is Blind and what was the other one after Love is Blind? I don't remember, but these, I hear that on Netflix they're going to be coming up with another Love is Blind in a couple of months. I got to check the dates and stuff, but a lot of stuff is happening. It's like starting right away. What is it? 90 Day Fiance. I think they're going to be starting up again like in June. This is like back to back. So if you are a reality, like a love reality, dating reality kind of junkie like I am, then, I guess we're going to have a chock full of, action-packed schedule type summer coming up for us. So we'll see. But anyway, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share it with your friends. I will see you on Monday for 90 Day the Other Way, the Tell-All Part 3. I will also be there on Monday for Match Me Abroad, TLC's new show. And then back on Thursday for Married at First Sight again. So that's it. I hope you're staying safe, taking care of yourself, and I will see you soon. Chippy Salacho.